started travelling to France when I was probably about 25, which means 40 odd years ago. Like most tourists, I was only here for a few days because I was from Australia doing several European stops. My most vivid memory is going to Versailles. And luckily I got a guide. I clearly remember the grandeur of the place, but more importantly, the guide was explaining that at the time that Louis XIV did the Hall of Mirrors, that mirrors were something that only very wealthy people had, and they were very small. And he was explaining that at the time, Versailles was also open to the public. And so people, as long as they were properly dressed, which in those days meant having a sword, which unlike now, you could actually hire at the entry. So the common people came in to have a look at the Hall of Mirrors. And I remember the guide said that for many people, it was the first time that they had seen themselves. And I clearly remember he said, and for some, it was a very bad shock. And that captured my imagination. And so I found that when I went home, I started reading about Versailles and Louis XIV and so on. And so for a long time, it became my, how would I describe it? It became a dream for my future. The people. Because if you tried to write a novel about the people of French history, people would say that's just so unrealistic, but they really were larger than life. And they're such interesting people and their relationships are so complex that you find it's something that's like a journey that never ends. It's a discovery that, you know, like even today, I was doing some research and I discovered people that I had never really had much to do with, and their lives are so interesting. And so it's one of those things that just never ends. And that's the best part about living here, is that you can go to Versailles one day and you're looking at something to do with Louis XIV. Then you'll read something about Madame de Pompadour and you go, oh, and so you go back another day and you see an entirely different vision, and it just never ends. I think that what's also interesting is that there are people who are very experienced tourists that feel like when they come to France, there is a whole layer that they don't have access to. And to be honest, the French don't make it easy. The French make it easy for you to go to the Louvre and see the Mona Lisa, or they make it easy for you to go through, you know, the public areas of Versailles. What happens is there's this whole other layer that unless you're really on the inside, and normally that means being French, it means being a member of their supporters, their various, you know, like a me to this and a me to that. There's this whole range of things that people don't know about and can't access. And I think that that's the part that I found most interesting, was being able to access things that the average tourist can't, and to being able to explain to people the options they have that they don't know about and how to get there. Well, I've been coming here once or twice a year for holidays and then business trips, because I was working in the media at the time. And then the time came when I was saying, what do I really want to be when I grow up? I was 50 plus. And what I loved at that stage was French history. So I decided that what I wanted to do was to open the doors for people to be able to experience the things that I had. My whole hobby was reading French history, and luckily for me I could read in French. So I went to university full-time and I studied European history and French language, and I ended up here finishing my degree at the Sorbonne, just actually discovering for the first time a lot of new things about French history. While I was studying at university, it must have been about 2003 or 2004, I came and did a cultural course here, and then later that same year I came and was studying full-time at the Sorbonne. And at that stage I rented an apartment, and 12 or 13 years later I was still in the same apartment, and I decided that that's what I wanted to do. So I set up a business for people like me that loved France and that wanted to be able to explore new things, and the history was the ideal way to do it. Most of the tours that I took over the last 15 years or so were two people, but they were generally people who'd been here a lot and thought they'd seen it all, but wanted to actually go behind closed doors. They wanted to understand things better. And so, for example, at the Louvre, if I took someone there, it was to show them the Louvre as a royal residence, not just to see the Mona Lisa. And what I wanted to do was to open up a whole new range of options for people. And as I said, most of the people that I took on tours were people who'd been here many, many times and knew France better than most people. But as I've been on this journey of discovery, and it's never stopped, it's the same, and I want to give other people that opportunity. Well, I love where I live now because I'm on the river, and I love the river, and any time of the day or night, it's always just amazing to look out the window. I have to admit, for the first 13 years, I looked out the window at Luxembourg Gardens, which was also fairly special. I just love the fact that if I want to, I can cross the bridge and hop on a train and go to Versailles. I can get the bus down to the Louvre. I can go down to Les Invalides. I have to admit, I love the shopping and I like the food very much. I love the flowers. I just love everything about living here. What's next for French Travel Boutique is opening up, I guess, the years of me doing research and going to visit things, and I belong to everything. I'm a member of Versailles, I'm a member of the Louvre, I'm a member of Fontainebleau, Malmaison, you name it. And it's given me insights that you just don't get, and especially as a tourist. And in fact, most of the people who live here don't have. And so I think that I'm at the stage where what I want to do is share the experiences I've had and open up for people who travel here a whole lot of new options. So that's what's next for me.